Hello and welcome everybody. We are back with a new chronicle, Deviant the Renegades, Children of the Plague. So let's start this off with character introductions and a brief description of your character's appearance. Even though we have lovely artwork displayed, we still want to just get a little bit more, and maybe what you've been doing the past 2 weeks since your escape. So let's start off with Rick.
Oh boy. So Rick got snatched up on the bus to Virginia about a year or so ago, getting there from Nevada. And since then, the year has been a complete blur. Nothing really sits in his head except for, a fog of redness. He's spent a year without higher brain functions. And after busting out, he's just been laying low, trying to keep from getting caught again. Physically, he's somewhat lean. He's got decent bone structure, shoulder length, dark brown hair. But he's also starting to develop scales, and his eyes are, he wears dark sunglasses in public because he has weird lizard eyes. So I hope that's a good enough description.
Perfect. What's he been doing for the past 2 weeks?
He's been trying to figure out, one, how to contact someone he cares about, and two, just, stealing clothes, stealing money when he can, just to get by. Holding up with some of the others.
All right. Andre Monet. This is also the perfect time, if I mispronounce a name, to slap me and tell me that I'm wrong.
Absolutely fine. Andre was, as his name suggests, he is a French national. However, 2 generations previously, that was not the case, as his grandmother was a Russian defector during the Cold War. And he has been, some would say gifted, some would say cursed, since he was born with certain additional abilities, namely his in his mind powers of telekinesis and telepathy, and during his formative years he was kept fairly highly medicated, which suppressed all the additional effects, and then he was silently ushered off into a program when he was late teens to refine and embellish his latent abilities. During the last couple of weeks, in his escape, he's found an active crime scene, which seems to have been somewhat abandoned by the police investigation of a basement home cook meth lab of some description. And he's fairly sort of average height, not particularly, sort of fairly lithe build, and has very, very close cropped hair, shaved head, which he generally keeps covered with a slouch beanie and a quite battered red leather jacket that he's rarely seen out of.
All right. Alice Gibson.
Right, so, yes, I'll be playing Alice. She's about 18 years old, fair skin, bit of freckles on the nose, green eyes. She's got her hair cut short, like a pixie cut, black roots that blends into blonde tips. She generally wears as much clothing as she can, She's got baggy light green cargo pants, some brown combat boots, a tight long sleeve black shirt with a brown leather coat over everything, just to keep it all covered. Although at the end of her sleeves and up on her neck, there's a bit of a creep of some black, almost tattoo-like markings, but they shift ever so slowly as you try and pay attention to them. She's also carrying like a shoulder satchel with a bunch of various papers and writing implements in them.
And what has she been up to, and how did she get captured?
Well, she got captured. She's very poor, pretty much homeless. So she spent a lot of time at food banks when she's not trying to take care of her little brother. So it was at one of these food banks that she met a certain individual. She didn't really like him. There was he struck her as odd, but she's always trying to be helpful. So when he asked for her help to move some more food from the back, she all right, yeah, I'll go help. But that's when she was nabbed and taken to a certain facility and experimented on. And so now she's got strange powers and something in her mind that she has having a difficulty understanding what it is and what it wants. So since escaping, her life is not much better. She's still homeless, still living on the street, trying to scrounge up enough food for both herself and her little brother. And occasionally, if the others that she escaped with needs food, she can help with that as well.
Now, this one I'm pretty sure I'm gonna mess up, but Blackwell, Aletheia?
Yeah, Aletheia.
Aletheia. I was at least somewhat close.
Yeah, very close. So, the Blackwell has some slight issues related primarily to his divergence, but as far as he can tell, he may have been seeking out treatment for something related, maybe a condition, something neurological, before he got, taken into the fold, so to speak. But Blackwell is a man in his 30s to 40s, very mousy, very withdrawn. Dude is... He's seen better days, to be honest, but in another life, he might have thought he was a librarian for some, I don't know, preppy arts college. And his main motivation at the moment is figuring out what it was that got him into this mess and trying to keep as much of himself intact as possible, because he already feels that having had his memories taken away, he is losing more of his identity and what composes him as a person.
What has he been up to the last 2 weeks since his escape?
That's gonna depend. Are you chill with him slumming it at the coffee shop?
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Hell yeah, I know where to put those last 5 mirror dots then. So, after wandering around for a bit, having escaped from a conspiracy, and maybe stealing memories of a few guards on the way out, Blackwell stumbled upon a shop that seemed to remember him as a regular. What drinks he liked, he didn't even know that he was a coffee enjoyer at that point. Had his name in his cup and everything. And while he still hadn't figured out a last name for himself at that point, it was the first place since his divergence that he had felt welcomed and at home. So it's with them he has been slowly building rapport and trying to uncover bits and pieces of his old life, though I don't imagine that he can expect too much from a coffee shop. Name and favorite drink are about as she can get.
Desmond, also known as Delta-23.112.
Desmond, as he likes to prefer to be called in regards to everybody else, has suffered under the designation of Delta for pretty much his entire life. He is literally a child of the program. He doesn't know much about his mother or particularly why he manifests these particularly various different other abilities, which don't really seem to have a rhyme or reason for them. He escaped with all the others. He's been basically slumming it around in a few frequent spots that he recognizes in more so the Maryland side of DC, like the past couple of weeks, while also trying to keep in close contact with where everybody else in the cohort said that they were going to be in case they need him for assistance or if he needed them for assistance in particular. And I would describe him as like a man who's in his mid-20s, but he certainly looks a lot older. A bit disheveled and scraggled, especially in regards to his facial hair. It's like all patchy, but not so overgrown as to the point where it's like a full flowing beard. It's like a normal medium beard. And he has like a bit of a lithe figure. Kind of tall, a bit above average. He's kind of wearing some sort of stained white shirt with ripped jeans or something of that sort. Shoes that don't really even fit his feet. Probably just grabbed it somewhere from like a laundromat and then just rushed out. And the last couple of weeks he's been keeping a huge eye on the media, particularly into what's going on with the epidemic in DC. And keeping an eye out for specific people, namely one specific person who was responsible for his capture the last time he escaped. And he definitely wants to settle accounts with him in his way.
Excellent. And that brings us to Adrian. MacQuillan? MacQuillan?
I don't care how you pronounce it. I've never been picky with character names. They just kind of, they exist. But yes, Adrian is a man in his late 30s. You're not really going to get a specific year out of him. He doesn't like talking about it, as everyone does when they get old. But he's short, kind of almost a shaved head of black hair. That's the words I wanted. Doesn't typically grow out any facial hair. Tries to keep that shaved to a stubble at most. Suppose all he has really on him was what he had on his person, so just coat, his phone, other minor details here. He was not necessarily captured like many other people have been here. He was a reserve National Guard who got deployed essentially once everything started going downhill in the States. Specifically, he was from New Hampshire. Particular deployment, civil unrest in a small town of Hanover. Was not exactly civil unrest. Most of his people he was deployed with are dead, and it took a lot of lives to deal with the creatures that were there. He kind of got swept up with some spec ops folk that came in after them to try to clean it up, only to find out that they had actually managed to clean it up. Ended up getting pushed around to DC and quietly encouraged to really not openly talk about what he saw there, and was offered some assistance, offered some experimental treatments, which he took. I suppose after the quote-unquote escape, the collapse of the Pentagon, he's been just kind of keeping his head down, as he's not entirely sure who's working for who anymore. But he's not from the area, so he's kind of holed up in a motel, just trying to gauge his next move, musing over options.
So, with that out of the way, now I picked up that Desmond's been paying real close attention to the news, and
Yes.
I would assume Adrian would be somewhat tuned in as well. The rest of the group, I don't get the impression that television's much on their mind at this moment in time. If somebody wants to correct me on that, that's perfectly fine.
Probably not a priority, no. Maybe catching glimpses as Alice passes a store. But not really paying too much attention, no.
So, with that, my comment is to the two of you, Desmond and Adrian. It's roughly about mid-morning. Maybe at most 10 a.m. when a news article breaks. The scene is actually of a podium in front of the Pentagon. An individual in a nice tailored suit, roughly about mid-40s. Definitely looks like the sort of individual that has made their life all about politicking. He just has that...
Got that slime about him.
Yeah. Got that presence about him. And he begins to speak about the incident that happened 2 weeks ago. Which, of course, is what mainly draws your attention as he talks about how this act of terrorism will not go unpunished, how they're seeking the ones involved.
Oh, we're terrorists now. Awesome.
One of the news reporters asks, what he thinks that the reason for this attack is. And he gives a very pointed answer about how testing subjects, and he uses the words very carefully, had gone missing. While he doesn't think that that's the reason for the attack, it is certainly a matter of national security, and that they are seeking both their test subjects and the ones responsible. Very quickly, though, he spins. He starts spinning the narrative. He's like, all right, everyone. I know everybody's interested in what happened 2 weeks ago, but I'm not one to look at the past. I'm one to look at the future. And the future is this. The Pentagon is safe. Whatever was happening in the sublayers is contained. We don't need to worry about that, so everybody can put that out of their mind. Now, because our test subjects were unfortunately taken, and the lab that they were held in is being sterilized, we've had to open up a new location. Of course, this location is top secret, but we can assure you that we will continue our research there into the ongoing pandemic all across the world. A matter of fact, and he makes a gesture to his right, in which a woman steps forward. Our chief of medicine here, Dr. Gibson, will be heading up the operation to make sure that this research gets done post-haste, of course, because unfortunately, as all of you know, people are dying, and we just can't have that.
What's her name?
Dr. Gibson.
And does this politician also have a name as well?
The name that is given is... they never specifically address him, is the thing. However, you do get a last name. And that last name is Hamill. Hamill. Which shows up, of course, along the bottom, you know, where they have that little subtitle that goes across occasionally. He very quickly, though, as the reporters start pouring in their questions, does the no more questions. We're too busy. We have to get started on this right away. We already have a few clues on where we need to begin. And he kind of makes a very pointed look. We will recover our property. And with that, the news report ends, and it kind of goes back to your daily grind newspaper, or daily grind news reports.
Right. I see.
There happened to be a commercial like right after this about a new subway location opening up near you.
No. It is just the regular news feed. No commercials about Subway.
Damn.
So.
Really craving Subway.
So, I want to ask this. Desmond and Adrian, what's your initiative mods? Just to decide who's going to get the first action here, so to speak.
My initiative is 5.
6.
Adrian, upon the news report closing and going on to your average day-to-day news, what is Adrian doing?
Well, I suppose much the same as he's been doing for the past 2 weeks. Musing over whether or not to trust a politician. Musing about, you know, what terrorists were able to hit Washington, D.C. Just kind of seems a little fishy, but he doesn't really know where to begin. I mean, it's midday. I guess I'll get some lunch, pop in like a Hot Pocket I bought down at the corner store or something.
All right. Desmond?
He's going to start doing some research about Dr. Gibson in particular. He might be able to pull up more in regards to how she's heading up this project or the research in recovering our stolen property or in hunting down the terrorists. I'm assuming that's us. Of course. Or we're jumped in along with that sort of modifier. So he's just vetting her out to see is she actually competent at her job. What sort of things is she going to be looking for? And will we need to pay her a visit eventually?
I feel like this is a time that I also need to check in with Char. Char, would Rick have told people about the one name he remembers?
He would have asked if people knew anything about her. So, yes.
Okay.
I don't know that he would describe in detail, but he would have mentioned her and that she is involved.
Gibson.
Yeah. So you would at least have that also to go on.
Well, then he's just going to go straight into trying to see how we can pay her a visit.
As in research-wise, or more calling up everybody else with the information?
Research-wise first, but eventually we're going to get to that point.
All right, for research, go ahead and give me, this would be intelligence academics for research.
Sure thing. Intelligence academics. Oh, hello. Modifier. Oh, I'm getting a roll 20 error. No character was found for Delta such. Well, I'm just gonna roll the dice pool. Cool. That's one success. Got one success.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I see the one success. I think I know what's going on, but I'll have to look into that in a moment.
Okay.
But with one success, she graduated top of her class at Yale. Also seems to have graduated from Harvard Medical. She has a pretty illustrious school career. A lot of papers published. She is definitely a known quantity. It seems like her fields of study were human anatomy. Looks like her specialty was just a very general type specialty. It wasn't like she went into oncology or anything like that. She's more of a general physician. Which, with your understanding of what, since you've been keeping your nose into the ongoing pandemic, you would understand why that is probably why she's in the position she's in, is because the symptoms of this tend to be so very broad and distinct from each other that a specialist would probably get lost. So definitely having somebody with a more general knowledge base, it makes sense.
Right. And just brainstorming as well, if she's from Harvard and Yale, she's probably also connected to a lot more conservative old money types as well. So that could be another paper trail we could follow up with her once we actually do pay her a visit. But is that all in regards to just like her research in general and what positions she's held within?
Most of her positions have, you can see how she worked her way up through various hospitals. She's not a DC native originally. She came here roughly about 10 years ago. So we're looking at like 2016-ish. And then from there on out, she worked at one of the most prestigious hospitals in the DC area. And to the best of your research right now, she still works there. As for her dealings with the politician, that is a ghost town. No mentions, not even like speculative type stuff. If you didn't have that little bit of information from Rick, you wouldn't have placed them together ever.
All right. Okay.
You would assume this news report was the first time they ever met.
Well, that's good. We have a connection. And just in regards to like research, further research aside from her background, how is she on social media?
It's sparse. She has a private Facebook page. Just has your standard profile, you know, your profile and banner image. She has a LinkedIn, once again, privated. She's not seeking employment right now, so it doesn't need to be public. Outside
So
of
no
that,
relationship status or anything like that? No
not visible.
address? Okay.
That would
Interesting.
require a different role.
Right, of course. Okay. I think we have a good foundation then on information. So with that and what he's drudged up, he's definitely going to see if he can get everyone together in the cohort, or at least just track down everybody to share that information.
Would you have a burner phone or a quick way, or is it just going to be by foot, so to speak?
Especially for, I'd say for like, he'd be the first person he'd contact would be Rick. I don't know if we would have set up like a burner phone type situation, all of us, or if anyone wanted to shell out to just buy multiple burner phones. But if he does, if that's something that is typically available for him, being 0 resource dots, then definitely he would use a burner phone. Otherwise, he would seek out Rick first.
All right. Unless you... I think the only one that could reliably buy that many burner phones is Adrian, and I don't know if Adrian would have done that.
It's up to Adrian.
I need a burner phone. We're not hiding.
Not hiding. Fair enough.
All right, Desmond, you're having to track Rick down.
Yes.
Rick, where exactly would you be holed up at this moment?
I mean, were we all at the meth lab? Or were we all in different places? Because I know some of us were holed up together.
That's a good question.
I'm sure.
In Alice's experience, it's better to stick together as a group, we homeless folk, as far as sleeping and stuff. But generally, when they're out and about, they're kind of scattered.
Yeah. That's essentially what he's doing. I mean, I'd say like we would set up like common meeting spots, or the meth lab in general would be a good place we could all meet up, like at night or within a certain time interval. But Desmond definitely would have been doing his own hunting, so he would be on his own. Not a lot. He would still try to keep tabs with y'all, but he would be moving around.
All right. So, I think to make this easier, instead of having everybody chase ghosts for 15, 20 minutes here,
Right.
I don't necessarily think that's necessary. We can state that it's roughly about lunchtime, that there is probably that would be a decent meeting time for people to gather. So, I would say at least the 4 of you have met together. I will leave it up to Blackwell themselves if they would, around lunchtime, head there, since they have a more... Using the term posh here is not necessarily accurate, but I would certainly consider the attic of a coffee shop to be a bit just a level
Yeah, like-
higher than burned out meth lab.
Yeah, attic, room closet, whatever they have. I feel like old coffee shops definitely always carry like a posh air to them, whether they mean to or not.
So, would Blackwell attend lunch at the burned out meth house?
Yeah, but he would probably bring like a microwaved bagel with him.
And what about Adrian? After
I
his
mean-
hot pocket.
Well, yeah, that was my lunch. I'll pop on by. These are the only contacts I've had from the Pentagon. So no point in cutting ties yet. You gotta be friendly, cooperative.
All right. So as you approach the burned out meth house, that's probably what I'm just always going to call it now. You can see the cohort gathered together, sharing a meal, at least 4 of them sharing a meal together. It probably looks like Adrian's already ate. What sort of conversation would be going amongst those that have already gathered?
Rick, your lady friend doctor showed up on the news today.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and there my camera goes.
Oh.
Did you see her face? Because I haven't.
I did see her face. I didn't get a picture, naturally, but I'm imagining that they're going to be running the story on loop, for the next couple of hours.
All right. Did they say where she was working out of?
She was working with some politician Hamill in regards to, and in conjunction with the Pentagon or the government itself, to help with recovery efforts from research and stolen property. That's being us.
That doesn't really tell me where she is.
I didn't really gather much information about where she's living now, though. Most of her social media is private or just bland. We could do a little bit more digging. If you have anybody with computer knowledge or anything of that sort, we could probably track her down to like her more base habitual rituals, and then we can pay her a visit, see what we can pull from her.
Oh, I'd like that.
I'm sure you do. And
She's a doctor, right?
she is.
Working with the government, so... I mean, if I had to take a wild swing out of the park, probably at Walter Reed. It's the Army's hospital in DC here.
Oh, that does remind me, she's still on record employed at this particular hospital. I'm just going to name a random top hospital off the top of my head for Washington, D.C. I think it's I'll just say Johns Hopkins. They have a center here.
Wait. Sorry. Here?
No, in D.C. DC.
Okay, I was like, wait. Are we hitting too close to home here?
No, I mean, I used to live in D.C.
Okay. Sorry.
No,
Continue.
So we could also pay another visit to the center here on where she's listed to be officially publicly working, or at least she has been for the last 10 years, and pull up any records.
I don't think a hospital's just going to hand you records for their employees, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, they're definitely not going to hand it over. We're just going to take it.
Alice has been writing on a whiteboard. Do they have any leads on us?
Nothing public. I don't imagine they ever give anything that's public. But I haven't seen anything.
Well, if you keep going around committing crime, like stealing from hospitals, I guess they're gonna get a lead on us, aren't they?
Right, we should probably ditch this place eventually.
That'd be a good idea. I mean, I'm sure local police and DEA would love to have another visit for squatters visiting in a meth lab. Or at least in this particular part of town.
It would help if our wannabe Captain America wasn't bringing his cell phone everywhere.
You think that matters? If they...
Well, I enjoy cell phones.
You can squat in a basement of a burnt-out building for as long as you want, but fact of the matter is eventually we're gonna have to figure out who was working with who. Now,
Sorry, I was testing something and...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
and when it does come down to that, I don't really want to get off on a bad foot, you know? And breaking into places to steal information on people, so getting in on a bad foot.
We're already in a bad foot. We're being hunted, and some of us are homeless. Which, honestly, the homelessness works to our advantage. Well, for some of us, anyway.
Tough times to be homeless. I'd say go meet up with family if you had. But I don't think that advice is going to be very welcome in this circle right now.
It's at this point that there is a scuttling sound.
Scuttling sound.
Yes, much like that of a large scorpion on cement.
My hypervigilance is kicking in.
As
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
as this scorpion tarantula wasp thing. There's no real great way to describe it.
A friend.
Oh, it's our manticore buddy.
Yes, kind of makes its presence known as it kind of begins to move about, keeping its its numerous eyes on the group. You can see it kind of hanging from the ceiling above, just moving about, watching things. It probably had been sitting still the entire time. Really?
Alice has some quick cards.
That wouldn't be anyone's pet, would it?
This is the same thing that follows me around, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let me just... it follows. Suppose it's been, interested in me.
You couldn't have got something normal. Most people are happy with a cat and dog. You
I had a dog, but...
Well, why did you
Across the
keep it?
country.
No, you got some nightmare fuel. I'm never sleeping again after seeing that thing.
Oh, we're probably worse than that thing. It's probably more scared of us.
Probably. Have you seen it?
Does it
Look.
have an...
That thing is harmless compared to what they could be, so I don't want to hear it.
What it could be.
That's a long story, and I was told not to talk about it.
Well, I suppose we'll figure it out one way or another. I'm sure it has
Still,
ways.
it's docile.
It hasn't killed us yet.
The Blackwell is gonna offer like a small piece of his warmed up bagel to it. It's probably room temperature by now, but
it buzzes down from the ceiling. Its tail kind of curls up underneath of itself, so it could still... You can tell the way the tail curls up underneath it, it could strike forward at any moment. However, it doesn't strike forward and just lands on the ground, but reaches up with its front legs and takes the bagel bite, essentially.
Aw, that's adorable.
From
It
you.
wasn't so freaky.
And the mandibles begin to break it up as if it tries to eat it, but you can tell it's just, it doesn't have the mouth parts. It understands the gesture being made. It just can't necessarily do what you expect it to do with the mouth parts it has.
Well, at least you
thank
got it
God.
domesticated.
Thank God our Cazador has no ability to bite.
Look, it's just like any animal. You raise it from birth, and it's tame.
And then it kills you in your sleep.
Well, a lot of things can kill you in your sleep. Heart disease, stroke.
Okay. Oh, great. So it's like heart disease or a stroke. Okay. Good to know. Just give him legs and a scorpion tail and...
As long as it doesn't
spider
end
bite.
up in a... Sorry. As long as it doesn't end up in a Travis the Chimp situation.
So, what is the current plan for everybody with this bit of information getting out that the news is essentially you guys are on the news in some minor way?
Wait, so did they just say that they had experiments that escaped? Like, people?
They had subjects, and terrorists took the subjects. It didn't really seem like that they wanted to answer much questions in regards to, oh, the government is doing super secret experiments again. Oh, or at
make it
least
sound like
they redirected from it.
make it sound like guinea pigs, little white mice. You know,
Right.
they're never gonna admit that it's us.
Oh, that's not surprising.
I've learned this before.
And if they're going to go ahead and make claims and statements about this, then that means that they must have already reorganized. And they're probably now making efforts to try and find us.
Recover lost property. You know.
That is what they
call it.
said. That is what they said.
Should I be narrating this?
Yes, please.
The randos won't look for people.
No, they won't, but they will be looking for us. And given the numerous amount of cameras I've seen in this city, it'd be pretty easy to find.
Still, I can't help but feel if you want to stay off the grid, this is not the city to do it.
We are in a very awful environment. That's why we need to go on the offensive.
Why do we get out? Just leave. Jump a train.
They've got public transport. That's not happening.
Jump a freighter. It's fine. Private company. You know. Who knows?
I don't think we'll be able to do a lot of things legally anymore.
Always the option of walking.
That is true.
Adrian,
Not quick, but true.
you have your own cell phone on you, correct?
Yeah, he's not paranoid. Despite everybody else telling him he's stupid for doing it.
What ringtone do you have?
I don't know, probably some default built-in ringtone.
Well, your phone begins to go off. It echoes in the in this hollowed out building.
Is it a phone call?
Yes.
Is it a contact? Like, do I know this number?
I would assume this number would be pre-programmed into your phone. It's essentially the customer service line of your bank.
Oh no, they froze your accounts.
Oh, you rats. Well, I mean, I recognize the number, so I guess I'll answer.
Hello, is this Mr. MacQuillan?
You forget how to read numbers on file? Yes.
Well, sometimes the phones are in possession of, significant others. I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend you. We're calling because we noticed some suspicious activity on your account. We just need you to answer a few security questions and clear it up for us.
I set these questions half a decade ago. I don't remember.
Who's on the phone?
Yeah, the bank. Don't worry about it.
Worry about it.
So
You kind of see Desmond shoot a look at everybody.
So,
Tell them to leave you an email, hang up.
I'm sorry, are you with some people?
I'll step outside. It's fine.
So he's just walking out with the phone. I'm letting.
Sure.
Okay.
He kind of Desmond turns to everyone and is like, I think we need to leave, like, within the next hour.
Yeah, I'm already packing.
Oh, I had such plans for this place. I was going to knock through that wall, make it a shed area. Let's go.
And Blackwell is going to shove the last bagel into his mouth. Packed.
Alice is stuffing her bag with leftover food.
Your younger brother kind of looks up at you. Moving again?
Yeah.
So, this phone call. Luckily, your security questions aren't abstract, and you do remember the answers to them, whether or not they were set a decade ago or not. Alright, so now that we have your identity confirmed, Mr. MacQuillan, now we need to talk about the suspicious charges. We noticed a couple of smaller withdrawals from your account over the past couple of weeks. They're usually in the realm of like $1 or $2, but it's happened 4 or 5 times.
Well,
That seems odd. Especially...
odd. What are you? You're the bank. You're the one that's supposed to pick up on this. Why are you calling me on the 5th?
Because... She kind of pauses for a moment. Because once or twice, it makes sense. A lot of companies will ding the account $1 or $2 to make sure that the account's actually active. It's not uncommon. It becomes uncommon when it's the same company within a 4 to 5 day stretch. Do you have any dealings with... And she kind of pauses and she goes, "That's weird." And she goes, "It shows up on your account, but when I actually look at your bank statements, it doesn't." Anyways, something called TFV Holdings.
Does this ring any bells in my brain at the moment?
Let's go ahead and get a... This would be definitely an intelligence check.
Intelligence, composure for memory, I think it was.
Yeah, let's do intelligence, composure. See if there's anything in the memory banks, so to speak.
Got one brain cell.
A single brain cell.
A single brain cell.
So work in overdrive to remember it.
Question
Even
to
got the
the
brain cell today.
storyteller, just in case we need to. How often does arson happen in this neighborhood? If we need to burn our tracks, can we cover it?
I wouldn't say arson is very common within DC to begin with.
No.
So, it would definitely make news.
Okay.
Especially if they can link it to actually being arson. However, you do have a little bit of a benefit of this being an old
meth lab.
Old meth lab. So, something happening to it, they might just be like, oh, another lab popped up here and this lab went really, really bad. So you do have that working for you. So, as for that single brain cell, just the way she says those letters makes you think of the alphabet soup that government agencies tend to go by. However, outside of that, there's not much. You don't even know which organization it might be that goes by that abbreviation. It's just one of those, because of your knowledge of the military, you're pretty sure it falls within the alphabet soup.
Okay. Well, no business that I'm aware of. Just, I don't even know who they are, to be honest. Probably some company out of India or something that got my number on some list or something. I don't know. Just freeze it and be done with it. Not freeze it. Just cancel the transactions and be done with it.
All right, we can go do that, but I do need to warn you. Further suspicious activity will cause us to have to freeze the account.
Okay, well, get your business fixed and figure out why they're charging me and why it's not showing up in your system. What do I pay you for?
We are also going to issue you a new card. Is there an address that we can send to?
Just send it to my address on record. I'll get around to it when I get around to it.
All right. Just to let you know, your current card is going to be deactivated.
I'm switching banks, you guys. Jesus. Change your policy out of nowhere. Whatever.
I'm sorry. This is standard procedure when a card's been compromised like this.
My card's not compromised. It's being done to my account, not the card.
She shakes her head. You do know they can get the account through the card, right?
How do I know you shook your head? Wait a second. All right. Well, you know what? You ruined my afternoon all you want. I'm done with this. I'll be submitting a formal complaint ticket. This isn't the first time I've had trouble with you. I swear. Well, not you. I don't want to think that it's your fault. I understand you're just some cog in the machine, huh?
Thank you.
Anyways, you have a nice afternoon. I'm gonna find whoever to complain to about this.
I do apologize, and I wish you the best of the rest of your day as well. And she ends the call.
For a second, I thought she said the best of the rest of your days. I was like, oh shit. Oh dang. Oh dang.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
Bank tellers,
By the time this phone call has finished, I would say everybody's had enough time to grab what little supplies they have within the meth house, and unless you're doing something specific within, you probably are going to already be on your way out the door when that call ends.
Yes.
Turn your phone off. We need to go.
Oh,
We're busting. This place is burned.
Who was on the other line, Adrian? You said he was your bank?
Yeah, some poor worker at a bank who's stuck in the wheels of bureaucracy.
What did they call you about?
Some suspicious activity on the card. Nothing unusual, but they're just being... what's a polite word about it? Pain in my arse about it. That's not very polite, I apologize.
About things that you bought recently, or?
No, some random company based out of who knows where is somehow got a hold of my bank details and are messing with it, and now they're having a hissy fit about it. I told them just to cancel the transactions, but policy.
I see. Okay. Was there anything else that they said?
It means I'm gonna have to trek across the country to get a card when it gets mailed.
Get a new card. So your card is frozen.
Not at the moment, but it will be eventually, probably, if this continues.
So they're making the first move, I guess.
And with that... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to action the plan that was suggested by Rick, and torch this place, get rid of any hair, any skin, anything that can link it on a sweep.
Alright, so you're setting it on fire?
Baby.
Yeah, it's just... If you don't want it... If you want it, now's your chance to grab it. Otherwise, it's going up with the rest of the place.
I assume Andre says this while he's filling it full of gasoline or something.
Yeah. The... You know, could make this place a home, but no. This is how we live now. Throw a match.
As this place burns, and you guys consider your next move with suspicions that the conspiracy might already be on you, but also with a lovely target painted.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of Deviant the Renegades, Children of the Plague, part of the Domain Gaming's Contagion Anthology, written and told by Wyverian. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcome. Until the next chapter, don't stop asking yourself, is there forgiveness for the murder that birthed you?